Hi, and welcome back. For any new people, my name is Tamika. I'm a nurse practitioner and holistic health and wellness coach. Click the link in my bio if you're interested in any of my services, including my website is there, my a link to my book, Patreon, and some links to products that I use. So feel free to go check that out. Today's live is going to be the fat loss edition. And I have a little checklist here about all the things that I'm going to address. So if anyone listening may have any questions about anything pertaining to fat loss, I'm just going to ask that you ask questions about the particular topic I'm on at the time so I could try to address everything that I wanted to address during this live. So, once again, for new people, my name is Tamika. I'm a nurse practitioner and holistic health and wellness coach. I help people reverse chronic disease and achieve healthy, sustainable weight loss through holistic diet and lifestyle practices. So, today's live is going to be about fat loss. I want to start off by saying that fat loss is possible. Okay, let me fix that. Weight loss is possible with any diet. Even the most unhealthiest of diets, heavily processed foods, junk food, essentially, you can lose weight with that. But the words that I'm using are very deliberate. Lose weight, not just fat. So the weight you're losing can include muscle mass, organ mass, and bone density. So that's obviously not what we want. And that might not seem like an important thing for especially some of the younger people. You may not think it's a big deal, but your health will deteriorate in the process. And so you're going to lose a bunch of weight, but you're going to feel terrible afterwards, right? You're going to be weak. You may have mental fog. Your body's going to be under a lot of stress. You're going to have very high stress hormones. Digestion is likely to be poor. So your hormones are going to be way off. And so you'll have a lot of issues if you address that in an unhealthy manner. But even let's say you weren't doing things that extreme, but you still had a relatively healthy diet, but you are focusing on a low caloric intake. Well, why isn't that sustainable when you keep the calories very low? Because you feel poorly. Once again, you start to feel weak. Your performance suffers, whether that's exercise or in school or at work and things like that. And so there's a limit on how low you can drop your calories and still be able to function and have a good quality of life. So those are also things that we're trying to avoid is excessive reduction in calorie, and then you end up suffering for it. Thank you, V. Blessed. I appreciate it. Please like, please comment, follow, and share. Do whatever might help with the live. So today's topic is fat loss. We're taking a holistic and healthy approach for sustainable fat loss. Okay. So I just wanted to make a statement about those previous things to let you know that's not what I'm talking about today. Because yes, you can lose weight on any diet if you bring your calories low enough, but we're not just looking for weight loss. We're looking for fat loss. We want to preserve muscle mass, organ function, and bone density and things like that. We still want a good quality of life. So first thing we're going to address for the fat loss is food. And yes, that is king, right? What you're eating will dictate everything. And so the first thing I recommend is adopting a whole foods diet. If you want to do an aggressive fat loss phase, let's say 6 to 8 weeks, I would say try to approach 100% whole food. And that's meat, eggs, fruits, and vegetables, right? And so, what do I recommend eliminating as much as possible, even if you're consuming whole foods and good quality foods? Well, starchy foods can be problematic for people. So, potato, rice, even though generally speaking, those can be healthy food options, but that a lot of people are sensitive to starches, and that can contribute to stalling in weight loss. The second thing is eliminating dairy products. Even if it's good quality dairy, if your goal is weight loss, fat loss specifically, dairy is calorically dense often. Even if it's a low fat dairy, for some people that can really stall their fat loss. So eliminate dairy. And so, with that being said, you should be trying to optimize your protein intake. What about sweet potatoes? I would say sweet potatoes, if you eliminate that as well in this strict window. And like I'm saying, about 6 to 8 weeks, and then you kind of reassess the situation and see if you are close to your goals, if you've achieved your goals, and then you could slowly bring back these other whole foods. So, I'm not saying to eliminate sweet potatoes or potatoes forever, but during your aggressive fat loss phase, I would say eliminate the starchy foods as much as possible. So thank you, V Bless. That was a good question. And so yes, even though the starchy foods like sweet potatoes are whole foods, and I generally do recommend it during this phase, I would recommend eliminating it and rice. And so you obviously, if I'm saying to consume whole foods regularly, then that means eliminating bread, pasta, cereal, things like that. You shouldn't That's not what I generally recommend anyway. So if you go back and watch any of my other videos, you'll see what I usually recommend. So what does that leave you with? Meat, eggs, fruits, and vegetables. Now for your meat, during this fat loss phase, you're going to want to go to the leaner cuts of meat because with the reduction in the fat, that helps to reduce that caloric burden from the fatty meats. And once again, we're trying to lower our calorie intake without becoming malnourished and overly hungry, where you're going to be focused and kind of getting obsessive about food, thinking about food all day, and it'll be harder for you to stick to the changes that you're making. So you still need meat, you still need the proteins, but playing with your fat and carbohydrate intake is going to be an important part of this fat loss phase. You must still hit your protein goals. 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. That should be your goal, your minimum goal for protein intake. And hitting those goals when you're trying to lose fat helps to preserve your muscle mass and helps to give your body the support for normal hormone function and liver function and everything else, really, for your body to still function properly. So you must hit your protein goals. But how much fat and carbohydrates you're taking in, that's where you're going to start to cut down as much as possible, and that will help you to reduce your overall caloric intake. So your carbs should only be coming from fruits and vegetables. Granted, yes, eggs has some carbs in it, but the eggs are a good source of protein and your source of fat. So, what you could do, and generally I recommend whole eggs, but what you may want to do is take a few of the yolks out and do maybe, and to just give you an example, if you were going to do 4 eggs, you could do 2 whole eggs and then 2 egg whites. So instead of 4 whole eggs, that will help you to reduce the fat intake in that regard. And so more leaner cuts of beef, pork, chicken, and that can help to reduce the fat intake and reduce your calories. And then the last thing is being conscious of how much fat you're cooking with. And once again, butter, beef tallow, lard, coconut oil, olive oil, I do strongly recommend those are the kind of fats that you use and cook with. They're healthy fats. But now just be more conscious of how much fat do you really need to prepare that meal, and try to get that to the as little as possible. If you can get away with 2 teaspoons or a tablespoon or even less than that, I do not recommend cooking sprays at all. It doesn't matter if it says olive oil flavor or butter flavor. No cooking sprays. So still whole foods with minimally processed foods, but just reduce the quantity. And then sauces. Eliminate the sauces as much as possible. Sauces are another significant source of calories that people tend to ignore. And I don't necessarily recommend a low fat or low sugar sauce alternative, because those commercial sauces still have a lot of preservatives and other processed ingredients. So try to limit the sauces as much as possible. If you can make your own low calorie sauce option, or you could just drizzle, you could put a little butter on it or drizzle a little olive oil on it. Keep it simple, keep it very simple. And so limit the sauces, and that is also going to help you to reduce your calorie intake. Okay, alcohol. Cut the alcohol as much as possible. As I've said previously, if you have health and wellness goals, alcohol should not be a regular part of your routine. But during a fat loss phase, you want to eliminate alcohol as much as possible, because it is certainly going to be a barrier for you getting to your goals. So you limit the alcohol. And then now, with that being said, remember I said previously that the goal is to achieve fat loss without interfering with your quality of life. As in, my goal isn't for you to reduce your calories to the point that you're constantly hungry or have this food fixation. So these things that you're eating, the lean meats and your fruits and vegetables, you eat to satiety, okay? You eat until you're satisfied, so that you're not focusing on food throughout the day, and then you're more likely to kind of get off track and get off plan, and start to eat things that you're trying to avoid, because your brain is screaming to you that you're hungry. So these whole foods you eat until you're satisfied, okay? But the reason why this is going to work with the fat loss is that you're eliminating a lot of the other sources of calories that will generally build up if you're eating those things to satiety. For instance, if eating lean meat, eating some lean cuts of steak with plain vegetables, maybe a little salt and pepper. You put your seasonings on it, that's fine, but cooked in a little bit of butter or olive oil, that you eating that to satiety is going to be, that's not a lot of calories, versus you're eating a fatty cut of beef, and you have vegetables that are or you have a lot of sauces in your vegetable, or you're putting sauces on your meat. So if you're eating that type of meal to satiety, that's going to have a lot more calories associated with it, rather than the former. So that's what you need to be mindful of when you're making those dietary changes. So just to recap, for about a 6 to 8 week course of a fat loss phase, not just weight loss, we're trying to preserve muscle mass, bone density, organ mass, your mental health, and things like that. You are going to focus on a whole foods diet as close to 100% as possible. And that's going to include meat, eggs, fruits, and vegetables. Now, the meats need to be on the leaner side. For the eggs, you are going to generally have one whole egg to one egg white ratio. And then for the fruits and the vegetables, you can eat those, just eliminating the starchy foods as much as possible. So the potatoes, even though usually they're good options, not during this fat loss phase. Potatoes, rice, bananas, things like that. So corn and things like that. For some people, they're sensitive to starch, and that makes them hold on to weight longer. And then for dairy, even if you have a good quality dairy, you may need to eliminate that dairy during your fat loss phase, because the dairy will make you have some delays in your progress. So and then for your protein intake, once again, the protein is the big priority. Trying to have protein with every meal, and the protein goal should be 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. Okay, so that is the food aspect of the fat loss approach. Let's see. Okay, that was 15 minutes. Good. I think we're okay timing wise. Let's get to the exercise. So, exercise, and by no means do I claim to be any sort of exercise specialist, but generally speaking, you can create a good plan for yourself that can be effective, and it doesn't have to be this big, expensive, elaborate plan. A lot of times, people will feel like they have very little time in the day to get exercise in. So, it's going to be important that you try to be efficient with the workouts. You do want to get regular physical activity in most days of the week. And so the number one thing is making sure you're getting regular movement throughout the day. So yes, you should have a walking goal of at least 10,000 steps. And no, you don't have to get all of that in at once. You can spread that throughout the day. And so you want to get 10,000 steps per day or more. And that does wonders for fat loss. It can really make a big difference, especially if you have a sedentary job or you're generally sedentary and you don't walk much. So you want to get that in. And if you have to build your way up to that, that's perfectly fine. The next thing is trying to get some explosive exercises in, explosive workouts where they can be high intensity but a short duration, so you're not stressing yourself out. And so, one thing that I have implemented over the last few weeks that has had a significant impact on, my health and my fitness and such is sprinting. And if you think about sprinting, sometimes it can be intimidating, but it's sprinting generally. If you're truly running at the very fastest you can, you're not sprinting for very long. For some people, it could be 5 seconds that you start out with sprinting. So you sprint, you're running as fast as you can, like you would be running for your life, and you get as far as you can, and you try to make sure you're doing it on the stable surface. And if you're severely overweight, it might just be speed walking for you, and that's okay. It's going to be an intense activity. You go for as long as you can, and then you take a break and you let your heart rate come back down to a resting, and you do it again. And over time, you'll find that you're able to do it for longer periods. And sprinting can have a great impact not only on losing fat but on maintaining muscle mass. If you look at sprinters versus marathon runners, it's very easy to see this comparison in their physiques and their body types. The marathon runners, generally have very low muscle mass, because muscle isn't considered to be a priority for your body when you become an experienced marathon runner. And if anything is trying to shed any excess weight that might interfere with their ability to run good timings for their marathon. Versus you look at a sprinter's body, if you're looking at the Olympic trials and all of those things, you could see how they have really amazing physiques. They generally have very good muscle mass because you need that muscle mass for that explosive movement and activity. And so, implementing sprinting can be a great way to get an effective workout in very short amount of time. Well, on my days that I do sprinting, it's literally uh, just a little over 15 minutes. So under 20 minutes, I'm out there and I do about 10 rounds of, the a sprint, and then I take a break and let my heart rate come down, and I sprint again, and I do that 10 times. And my sprinting, for where I am now, I'm sprinting for about 15 seconds or so at a time. And so that can really be helpful with getting some explosive physical activity in, and that can have a good impact on your fat loss. And so the next thing is that I've been implementing are kettlebell workouts, and that is amazing, explosive and dynamic movements that can have a significant impact on maintaining or building muscle mass and facilitating some fat loss. You could find videos everywhere. There's a lot of great people, even on TikTok, that promote kettlebell workouts, and they give all sorts of tips. So just look it up, or you could see, go to YouTube or wherever you like to search for your information. You will find good kettlebell workouts And so I do have a link for a company that sells good kettlebells. So you might want to go check that out. Once again, I don't claim to be an exercise expert, and I'm certainly not a kettlebell expert by any means. But doing the kettlebells has really helped to streamline and reduce the time that I spend working out, because they are short and intense activities and explosive activities, and they really help with fat loss and putting on muscle mass. So you might want to do those kinds of activities, alternating some of these explosive activities throughout the week. You could do them, 5 days a week, and have 2 rest days spread out. But you should be trying to make your walking goals uh, daily, and then you can do mobility workouts in between, so that you're still focusing on joint health. So that's my recommendation for exercise, for physical activity. Okay, so moving on to sleep. Sleep is very simple. It is a non negotiable 7 hours, period. And if that means that you need to go to bed earlier because you have to get up early, then you must do that. Sleep is paramount for fat loss, and without sacrificing your health. So you need proper sleep to balance your hormones, especially in this fat loss phase. Losing fat is stressful for the body. And if you think about the physical activity that you may be doing to help, promote that fat loss as well, that is stressful on the body. So you're going to want to help taper or control that stress response with making sure you're eating good nutrient dense foods, which I spoke about previously. But now the second half of that equation is good sleep. And so 7 hours is a non negotiable in your fat loss phase, because you will need that time for your body to sort out everything it's been doing, and to help facilitate the regular fat loss, and to help control those stress hormones and balance out your other hormones, and to help with just kind of cleaning up the debris and everything that has happened within your body throughout the course of the day. So sleep is also very important, because the sleep will help you to make better decisions that next day when it comes to diet and lifestyle. When people are sleep deprived, they are more likely to eat junk food, they are more likely to overeat, and they are less likely to do their physical activity for the day. They're less likely to get in their steps and get in those explosive workouts. So you must be able to get that 7 hours of sleep. Do your very best to make that happen. And it's 7 continuous hours. So it's not like a 3 hour nap during the day and then 4 hours of sleep at nighttime. So it's 7 hours of continuous sleep. So those are the three foundational things that should be focused on: food, physical activity, and sleep. But the last bonus thing that I'm going to add in is supplementation. And as I've mentioned in other videos, I'm not big on supplements. I don't take a lot of supplements continuously. I rotate through supplements. But there is one supplement that I have been very aggressive with, and that I do use regularly and continuously, and that is essential amino acids. So the thing about essential amino acids, that helps to bring us back to the food recommendations of getting your protein goals in, and how important that is. So when you supplement with essential amino acids, that can help you hit your protein goals without adding a lot of additional calories. So, there are many companies now that's offering good quality essential amino acids. Body Health, that makes perfect aminos. I have a link in my bio for that company if you want to go and check them out. They're a great company. They also have a lot of good information on their website about essential amino acids if you want to read up on it. So go check out Body Health, bodyhealth.com, and read up on essential amino acids. And so I use essential amino acids throughout the day to help me meet my protein goals. Generally speaking, depending on the company you use, 1 or 2 servings of essential amino acids can help help you get the equivalent of 60 grams of whey protein, and that is in only about 10 calories of the essential amino acids. And For, like, let's say a whey protein shake, you can easily have either 150 or 200 calories or more in some of those protein shakes. So if you are trying to find a way to get in enough protein without getting a lot of additional calories, hydrate. Hi, thanks for joining. If you're trying to get in enough protein without getting a lot of additional calories, then essential amino acids, that's good. Those are going to be your trump card, because they really will help you get to your protein goals, especially if you're using them strategically throughout the day. So one thing to know about essential amino acids is that they will be more effective because each company they're very similar. Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, well, I hope you feel better soon. I'm gonna say, I was like, you're late in bed. Look at what time it is. But I understand. Okay, I hope you're feeling better soon. The thing about essential amino acid, there is a blend that they use, and the blends are. Oh, you just did the flush. Okay, I understand. Okay, the blends are very specific of those amino acids, and they are in specific ratios that will allow the essential amino acids to be used effectively by your body as protein. However, if you consume your essential amino acid with other protein sources like meat, eggs, dairy, and things like, or protein shakes, the essential amino acids, they're still good, but they're just not as effective because the amino acids from the other proteins will compete with the amino acids within the essential amino acid supplement. So the bottom line is, you need to separate. If you want the essential amino acids to be as effective as possible, then you want to separate them from your protein sources. So that's a little tip there that you need to be mindful of. And so, one hack that really can help to bring your calorie intake down without losing muscle mass is replace one of your meals with 1 or 2 servings of essential amino acids. And I used to use the powders, but the powders have stevia, and I try to avoid those kinds of sweeteners. But then again, they also have a very particular taste. So if you don't like that bitterness of stevia, you may not want to go that route. I use the tablets, and you'll be surprised. Taking 10 tablets of the essential amino acids, it is a lot of bulk in your stomach, and I actually feel full off of those pills. But if I want to do something to help uh, give me a little additional fullness, then I'll just have some fruit with it. Watermelon, if you have a very hydrating fruit like watermelon, that's a great, or any, honestly, any fruit. But if you have some fruit and your essential amino acids, that can replace a meal without leaving you very hungry and looking for more food. And doing that can be a great hack for reducing your caloric intake. Now, so those are, and honestly, that's it. That's all I recommend in regards to supplements. There are no fat loss supplements that I recommend. A lot of those things that you see available in regards to fat loss supplements are often laxatives, or they could be herbal supplements that can potentially have a negative impact on the liver and really stress the liver out. Or once again, they are laxatives, and you're really reducing the stool burden in your colon, but that is not facilitating fat loss. So I do not recommend any specific fat loss supplement, but the essential amino acids can be a great hack for helping you get to your protein goals and for reducing your overall caloric intake, because you can use the essential amino acids and you can have those with some fruit to replace a meal. So those are the four things that I think if you follow that consistently for 6 to 8 weeks, you can see a significant impact on your overall body fat. Now, can you do that longer than 6 to 8 weeks? Absolutely, because nothing that I recommended would be compromising your health. Everything that I said would help to overall put you in a healthier state. You're still getting good nutrient intake. You should not be malnourished. You should not notice any new symptoms. You shouldn't be fatigued or having hormonal changes in a negative way, or mental fog, things like that. You shouldn't notice anything like that, or any significant GI upset. Getting the food recommendations in: lean meats, eggs with a 1-to-1 ratio of whole eggs to egg whites, and fruits and vegetables, and then making sure you're hitting your protein goals of 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight, eliminating starchy foods during this fat loss phase, because even though starches can be healthy, like potatoes and rice and things like that, for some people they're sensitive to it and it will make them hold on to weight. And then eliminating dairy, even if it's a good quality dairy. Some people, once again, dairy can be calorically dense, and that will make them hold on to weight more. Or if you want to try switching to a lower fat dairy, you can do that. Um, the only macronutrient I recommend focusing on is protein intake, honestly. But some of the other things that I mentioned do help to reduce some of the fat intake and the carbohydrate intake. And then eliminating the sauces as much as possible, especially the commercial sauces, and being mindful of how much fat you're actually cooking with, and just using the bare minimum. And once again, eliminating alcohol as much as possible. So that was a recap of the food recommendation. For exercise, getting at least 10,000 steps per day spread throughout the day, and then getting in some explosive physical activity, trying to implement sprinting. Once again, you have to build your way up to that. Get a good warm up, sprint for only as long as you reasonably can, and that could be literally 5 seconds. And if you're very overweight, this might start out as speed walking. If you can't really run, speed walk for as long as you can, and then you stop and you take a break and you let your heart rate come down. Make sure it's on stable ground. Don't do it on ice. Don't do it on stairs or anywhere that you may potentially fall. So be safe about it. And then the last explosive activity that I've been implementing are kettlebell workouts. And so, you try to, you find some people that do kettlebell workouts and you learn about it. You do your research. There's a lot of people on TikTok, or there are a lot of YouTube channels that have great kettlebell workouts. So you can get that information for free. And then the last thing that's a non-negotiable is 7 hours of sleep, period. No less than that. 7 hours continuous, not divided, 4 hours at night and then a 3 hour nap during the day. 7 hours of continuous sleep, because the sleep is very important for facilitating fat loss. And then the one supplement that I recommend are essential amino acids. So there are many good companies, but the essential amino acids will really help you get to your protein goals. And you can use that as a hack to reduce your caloric intake. If you replace one of your meals with 1 to 2 servings of essential amino acids, and then maybe you have a little bit of fruit for the bulk, and that can really help to reduce your calories but still hit your protein goals. All right, perfect. So with that being said, half hour or 33 minutes. So just a little over half hour, but I think I hit all of my recommendations. Now I added a link in my bio that has just some of those things that I talked about that you might find helpful if you are trying to figure out how you can resource some of these things. There's a link for essential amino acids, and there's a link for a kettlebell company. And both of these companies provide very high quality products. So feel free to go and check that out. And like and follow and share and do all the things that will help get people to this information that you think might find this information helpful. So thank you. Thanks, Trit. And I am going to disconnect now, but you guys have a good rest of your evening. And I hope that you guys found this helpful. Thank you.